What is happening, sports fans, esports fans, DFS 5-pack fans, Jason Malmanger fans, whoever you are out there, you're watching this video, we appreciate it. We are back to talk some LPL and the LOL. It's definitely been a good, couple days over here. It started after we made that first video with a little game stack, I made one or a couple game stack lines and it ended up finishing pretty high, and then last night rode that V5 train all the way to a takedown, which is nice. So I'm feeling good, man. How you feeling today?
I'm ready to get back into it. I had a lot of V5 last night, and I still found a way to lose money. So, but I'm invigorated by your victory, so I'm ready to go tonight.
That's the worst. I don't want to dwell on it, but just wondering, who'd you use with V5?
I had RNG, and I was not expecting them to kind of go off the way they did. Just based off of OMG's perfect game would be to farm for 40 minutes and then fight once and be done. So them getting kind of kicked around the map sort of surprised me. But
I'm glad I asked you that, because just something now I wanted to touch on just for further note, because I know one thing that I'm good at is I remember a lot of things. I just remember a lot. So I know that last split, when we would talk a lot, you would tell me that you hated RNG's drafts and they were awful drafters. Well, apparently, and the announcers were speaking on it last night, that they've seemed like they might have fixed that problem, and if so, they look good.
Yeah, they did that for half of last split too. Where they looked like world beaters, top 3, top 4 team in the region, and top 10 in the world, and then they just sort of fell off a cliff. So they've had some time to sit back and look at that. That's one thing that the month and a half has done for these teams over break. Is their own analysts, not just I'm sure they're not watching us on YouTube or maybe watching the casters recast the games and going over it that way, but their own analysts break it down and see where they might have messed up, and they work on things in scrims and in their practice to get ready to go. So
yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting after V5 had 40 kills for RNG to have 41 or something similar to that. It was 41 to 42, 40 to 41. Both those teams look good, man. A lot of kills last night. Weird lineup construction took it down. I had a jungle, a captain in that lineup that took it down, which is always what I'm talking about. If you get, those weird lineup constructions, then you basically use every combination of two teams, and that's how you can get a solo takedown. So pumped about that. And, man, let's just dive into tonight, because I'm kind of hyped to talk about this slate. Obviously ready to get back in. Some 5 a.m. LOL, 5 a.m. Eastern my time, 4 a.m. your time, right?
Yep, 4 a.m. Central for me. So I'll be sleeping through, but normally I'll be working the overnight shift, so I'll be checking it out on my breaks and whenever I get a spare second.
You will not be watching tonight?
I'll probably be up by 5 o'clock or so I might miss the first game.
Okay. I thought you said you were sleeping through it, and I was like, what?
Yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Is this screen share showing right now? Or what's the deal?
Yep, I got half of me and half of your DK there.
Okay, it should be good. I don't know if we want half of you, but I guess we'll have to live with it. And plus, everyone likes to see your pretty face. So,
oh no.
All right, man. First game, man. We is on my freaking bad side right now. Although I love your article, because you talked about, was it we that really stole our hearts, or was it EDG that just played us? I think it was a combination of both, honestly. But once EDG lost that second game, they had no shot in the third game, in my opinion. None at all. They were just toast. And that's what happened. I don't know what to make of this game. Both these games are question marks in my eyes. I know the line has moved down, and I think that there's good cases to be made for both teams here. So speak on it for me.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think there's a case to be made for both sides here. Like you said, WE opened as bigger favorites. It's been bet down now. It's getting a little closer. This will definitely be, for me, the game to target. This will be where the big stacks are coming from, with WE dies almost 20 times a game when they lose, and Suning dies over 20 times a game when they lose. So this should be the better fantasy option. So your 4 stacks and your captains should be coming out of this matchup. Yeah, we saw Suning beat a very bad LNG team that just sort of rolled over and played dead. They had some good spots where they could have picked a better fight or gone for objectives, but they just, if it was a lack of leadership in the comms, or they just aren't confident in themselves to be able to make that call, they backed off a lot of spots and just kind of handed the game over to Suning. Suning is winning bot lane like they're supposed to. Huang Fang is a young god. We all know that. And then WE took advantage of EDG giving them the game and ran with that into game 3, which they did start out behind in. And maybe it was about 10 minutes or so. The first Drake, there was a seemingly unnecessary fight that WE started, but that's sort of their deal. They want to get around the map and start those fights and get into those skirmishes and create mismatches, and that's what they did, and they stuck to their game plan. Even though they were kind of behind at that point in time, they just pressed the issue and made it work. So 2 teams that were we didn't learn a whole lot about in the first game, but we'll find out more tonight, I think.
So WE is a fun team for DFS purposes. They get into a lot of fights. They're fun to watch. We talked about this the other day about how better teams like hardly ever let worse teams come back in the game. I mean, that's just what happened the other day. EDG was rolling. I mean, they looked good. They were stomping. I mean, it wasn't even close. They rolled the first game, and they were up 18-6 or 18-7 in that second game. And that's really, a game stack took that down that night. And that's if you have you need a huge comeback like that when you're down 18-7 and a team comes back, which is so rare. EDG just fell apart. I'm scared. Not scared is the right word. But after what they did to me the other night, I'm a little bit afraid to go against Wii. I also don't think that they should be getting the love that they're getting just because of what they did the other night. Now, one thing I'll ask you, though, when you said the 20 deaths per game for both teams, I'd like to think a game stack is in play here tonight, but it's always so hard because you need games to go crazy.
Right. You needed that big comeback in game 2 where they equalized.
It's even still, like Suning was bad. Well, not bad. For a win, they were not good. For 2-0 win, they were not good. They still were not like too far off of EDG because, they get the sweet points. So if they do a little more, they outscore EDG.
And Junjia, EDG's jungler, their starting jungler, was the top scoring jungler on the slate. He had 88 points, and he got subbed out for game 3. So that's a pretty good indicator that a guy who didn't play all 3 games won one and lost one, that, there was a little magic in the air that night, we'll say.
Great point, man, because it seems like it's so easy for a game stack to take it down, but that's all you need to know right there. The jungler in the game stack was on the losing team and only played 2 games. That's crazy if you think about it. That's just rare. It doesn't happen a lot. So I think the game stack is a pipe dream. It can happen, but again, I'm glad we talked that over because it's not the logical route. So, okay. I feel like if this game goes Wii's way, it's going to be more of just a crapshoot, just fighting, and they're going to, Suning's just not going to really be able to dictate pace. If it's the other way around, it's going to be slower, maybe not too much slower, maybe not, though, because Wii is always forcing fights. What's your take? Who would you think scores more in a win, Wii or Suning?
WE will. But it's not quite the difference that you'd think, just because of the way that WE does play. So what we always call it is it's feeding or it's inting. Intentional feeding is sort of be what WE will be doing if they get behind. Because the only way they have to get back into the game often is to force these fights. And if they're behind and they're forcing these fights from 3K, 4K, 5K gold down, they don't have the items, they don't have the levels, they don't have the experience. They can't deal the damage, they can't tank the damage. And so if WE wins, they're going to be ahead and be starting those fights. But if they're behind, they're still going to be starting those fights, and they're probably going to be losing them. So I think whoever wins this game is going to be the top scorer. Suning is slower paced. They only average 18 kills in a win compared to just over 21 for WE. So they do go a little slower. They like to focus their bot lane a lot. I think, let me check it here for one quick second. Yeah, Huang Fang, their ADC, has almost a 75% kill participation with a 35% kill share. That means he finishes off a full 35% of their kills. And that is the highest on the slate, I believe. Yeah. Just edging out Zhui Meng, who does 34 in the kill share department.
So just to speak on like the fact that you think this is going to be the team with the most kills is definitely going to come from this game. in doing like research and ownership research specifically, both these teams, even though that there's only 2 games on the slate, both these teams are coming in a little bit under-owned. Both the teams in the second game are coming in over-owned because the winning team from the first game is most likely going to be the leading scorer on the slate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think when we saw the lineups drop for the second game, people were surprised that Leanne, who Vici Gaming picked up from the side of IG in the downtime, that he was not named the starter. They're sticking with their starter from last split, Ikes. So people were surprised there. But then when they looked into the BLG lineup, they're like, what is going on? My boy Meteor is not starting. And Jinzhao has shifted in the offseason. He has role swapped. He is now a support instead of an ADC. And they called up their support or their ADC from BLG Youth, Wings, and they started him. And they called up the jungler from BLG Youth, their developmental league team. We're just going to call him Beast.
So here's the thing about this guy that I don't like. So, like, he's got a name. Like, is it 13 East 16? Is it Beast 16? I didn't even think of Beast until you just said that.
Yeah, we'll just go with Beast. That works.
Okay, I'm about it. Let's go on.
That leet speak. I'm a little too old for that. I mean, maybe not. Yeah, I'm too old for that.
Same.
So yeah, he has played in the LPL before. He was on OMG. The last we saw him in the actual LPL was in spring of 2019. But that being said, he's only 19 years old, so it's not like he's 28 like BRTT, who we saw ripping it up in the CB LOL slate today. So he's still a dude that can get it done out there. He does favor carry type of junglers. So I think when that news dropped today, everybody kind of instantly went, oh, okay. I don't know what BLG's doing, but I sure don't like it. We're just going to lock in some Vici Gaming here because they should be able to take them down with the 2-0. Well, yeah, they should. And that was my initial reaction too, because I love Meteor and I couldn't really comprehend what they were doing. Then I heard some juicy gossip, some hot goss on the subject. And that is that Calvin at Ruler Arsama, we're going to drop him. He's on vacation right now, but somehow he's still got his ear to the ground, and he picked up the fact that apparently my boy Meteor and my other boy Fofo were doing a little beefing over the course of the spring split. And so they have been separated, so to speak. They each got sent to their rooms. And because BLG doesn't have a backup mid laner, they're going to roll with Fofo, and Meteor is going to hit the bench. And I don't know. Yes. So my initial thought was they brought up the BLG Youth ADC, so they'll bring up the jungler who's kind of familiar with them. They probably have some chemistry together, which I would guess is a little bit true. But now that I've heard this gossip,
damn, I wish I knew more about this situation, because if I knew about this team and I knew that like they were all real tight with Fofo and not really with Meteor, then I would love them tonight. Vice versa, if they were all like boys with Meteor and like or whatever with Fofo, like I could see them not really playing that well tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a little bump to Fofo maybe, because he's going to have to show out that, you know, if this has to do with the calls that he was making in game or the way he wanted to construct the team, you know, when they build the characters and the champions and things. So maybe a little bump to Fofo here. But I also thought maybe a little bump to Wings instead of having, maybe the little bot lane focus to match what Vici Gaming likes to do. So I'm not going to completely give up on my BLG boys, even though I don't like this move. There might be a little narrative street here. They want to stick it to their boy and show them that maybe they were making the right calls or playing the right champs or whatever.
I think you're right, though, when you said that there's definitely sub. If they lose game one, I could easily see Meteor being subbed in. No doubt about it. And that's the other thing about all these teams that are playing tonight. We is the best team. Well, we and WE, excuse me. I always call them we, but WE and Vici are the two best teams on this slate, and those teams are fine. They're nothing special at all. Like Suning was a minus 200 favorite to LNG, right? Really something like that, somewhere around that. And that was obviously a little bit too low. It ended up being, but that's what Vegas had it at. For comparison's sake, FPX plays LNG 2 days from now. What do you think that line is?
It better be against LNG. Man, that's got to be close to 1,200.
Mine is 2,000.
Oof.
So yeah,
Yep.
and you never think a line's going to be that big. So that just tells you all you need to know. And FPX is very good, but there's a big drop off after the good teams, and none of the good teams that you can really trust are playing tonight.
Yeah, these guys were all like 8. WE made it into the playoffs. They were the 8 seed. Vici and BLG, I think,
feel
9 10. Yeah, we made the playoffs. They were the 8th seed. Boy, I should have had myself a little more prepped here. I have my kill share numbers and things like that up instead of my standings, but they made it in. They were the 8th seed. Vici and BLG both just missed. I think they were 9 and 10, and I want to say Suning was like 12. There's a space of 4 individual games played in like one series that separates all 4 of these teams.
Okay, so that's all you need to know right there. WE, I feel like, always plays with my heart and DFS owners' hearts, because when you think that they're amazing, like they lay an egg, and when after coming off like a couple of bad losses, they seem to play well. I feel like that's LOL and sports in general, though. That's just the nature of the beast in all competition. So it's no different here, and that's something that I really love about esports. Just to talk about something a little bit outside the slate, like, it is so competitive. We talked about the announcers, I think, before we got on video, and I love them. But I also love just how competitive it is, and you can feel the competitiveness and intensity like as they're playing. I've had a lot of fun, doing this, obviously making the videos with you, meeting some new people. I'm like already kind of worried that when sports comes back, the contests are going to die. I don't think that they're going to die, but they're definitely going to be smaller. And I know for damn sure I'm going to still be playing LOL. I love it.
Yeah, I think we'll see that too. It'll be kind of like, I bet it'll be like these KBO slates.
Yes.
When there's a night like tonight where a lot of people have a lot of money tied up in MMA, the KBO slate has gone, it's probably 60% or 70% of what it was yesterday when there wasn't that. And I think that's kind of what we'll see on days where there's not anything real huge. MLB will clear, everybody will get all that money back in their accounts, and NBA will clear, we'll get all that money back in our accounts by midnight or 11 o'clock, and we'll be able to dump some money into these LOL slates that start at 3 and 4 and 5. So we'll take some hits on some days, but the timing, I think, works out pretty good that DK can just collect rake around the clock. And now that we've drummed up some interest with this, and people, normal sports people who would have never thought in their lives they'd be waiting on bated breath to see who's going to start at jungle for BLG today.
Right.
Are cashing the giant cardboard checks from DraftKings at 9 a.m.
So one thing that's funny, like while you're speaking on that, I was thinking about this. Like the big $15 contest right now, it's got close to 8,000 people that can enter it. It only has like 2,500 people right now. I don't think it'll fill the night, so I'm like kind of hyped. I'm like, damn, that's not even gonna fill. Like, better chance for me. But then I think about it, I'm like, actually, that sucks, because tomorrow the contest is going to be like a lot smaller with 15K up top, and that's not cool. I mean, I like it a lot better when there's 50K up top. So it's a give and take, and I think you're 100% right, because I looked at the KBO just contest selection today just to get a glance at like what it was, and it's very small compared to what it's been. It's very tiny today because, like you mentioned, MMA has taken up a lot of people's money. You've even got NASCAR tomorrow, which hasn't started yet, so it's a little bit different. But I think your assessment was right on.
Yeah, that's one reason I got into providing some content for the LOL scene, and just started out with tweeting out the lineups and stuff, because I wanted normal DK users who didn't have anything to do to get into this and find themselves having a good experience and enjoying it and sticking around for the long term. It used to be great to ship a little $8 tournament and pick up $150, but the dream is still out there. A guy could still do it and pick up that big check. So that's kind of what it's all about. Just getting people to get suckered into watching this sport and enjoying it, and betting on it and playing DK is how I came to follow it. And so I'm just trying to get more people suckered in to be like me.
I love it, man. You've really suckered me in, and I can't stress enough. I don't know how to play it. I can never play it. I've never played it, but it is so fun to watch. We were talking about before how exciting the Brazilian commentators are, and about how you think and you are trying to find the English cast. And then you hear these guys speaking in Portuguese, and you're like, wait a minute, I don't need any English cast, because I just want to hear these guys talk all day. And that's the truth.
Sure.
So I'm having a ton of fun with it. I love like I was telling you the other day, man, like even when I'm like tired and sleeping, and it seems like I wake up to check one of the scores at 4 or 5 a.m. whenever the games have started. I can't go back to sleep because I'm like hyped on it and I like need to watch it. It's one of those feelings.
Yep, it's good stuff. Man, especially I can't wait for all you guys now, you new guys, to get in on it when Worlds rolls around, when this final set of finals and playoffs. Once every team goes through their summer split, we'll go through their playoffs again. Those summer split champions from the major regions will auto qualify.
Dude,
it's going to be some big deals.
We talked about this like on our like when we made our video like a month ago or whatever, however long ago that was. But I cannot wait now for like the best teams, to play each other like across the world, because that is going to be so hype. That's just going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah, I remember that. You were querying me about, where does C9 finish in the LPL?
Yes.
How about G2? This, and this. And
yep.
Yeah, we got it. We get into that on Twitter all the time, having a lot of fun with that sort of thing. So
yeah, man. I speak for a lot of people, and again, if you haven't checked out or don't, read Jason's articles, check them out on Rotoballer. It's great stuff. I read them every single day. It's one of the main things that got me started on LoL, as you like to call it, which I will now say it like that because I feel like I'm now privileged to say it like that. We've been making a couple videos now with friends. I'm good with saying it LoL. So I don't know, man. I'm hyped. Thanks for making this video with me. I know you had to plead with your wife, and I got to go back down to mine.
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm down to get one in whenever you want.
No problem. To go through the final thoughts one more time and capitalize, I think that first game, that the WE matchup, that's going to be the top scores are going to come out of that one. There's just too much action. I'm going to say WE probably takes that 2-1. Just I feel like they are a little more proactive, a little less passive than Suning is. Suning's more likely to kind of hang around in lane and just try and farm up and get Hongfen fed. But WE's probably going to take that with their active play. And the second matchup, I still got to lean towards BLG because lean towards VG in that one. That could be another 2-1 situation. We're worried about some subs on the BLG side if they do drop, but I'm not going to completely discount BLG because I know they might have some narrative street going behind them. And, this new guy, we don't know what Wings is worth and what Wings is not worth. I looked into it. His Varus is really good, and Varus is really powerful right now. So you'd think right off the bat they're going to ban it. But I would have told you that there's no way Teacher Ma is going to get his hands on Galio in that WE game against EDG, and sure as shooting game 3, there he had it, popping up all over the map and ruining my EDG lineup. So we're going to look for WE 2-1 and VG Gaming 2-1.
So both these teams are favorites of like minus 170, 180. So I get it. I don't have a great feel for this slate. This one's a tough one. I feel like Vici is the team with the most consistency because we know what they did last split and they were consistent at the end. We haven't seen them this split. And the other game, so I guess we'll just finish on this. Suning is, we talked about how they're really hard to gauge based on how EDG choked and they, was it them? Was it EDG? We don't know. But we also don't know about Suning because, like I said, they were only a minus 200 favorite to LNG. They didn't look like overly great in their win, but they still won with ease. Were never really going to lose that game or either of those matches. Yep. So, were they maybe saving their best stuff? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's crazy.
That could definitely be. I know in the LCK a lot of times when a team wants to work a backup player, sometimes we saw it with T1. When T1 was playing against worse competition towards the end of the split, they started their backup jungler, Elam. And they did that not because they thought Cuz was bad, because you saw once they got into the MSC, they didn't, once they got into the playoffs, they didn't screw around with that. They had Cuz in there because he's their guy. But they got Elam some quality experience against some top-level opponents that he might not have got otherwise. So, yeah, sometimes I think some of these higher-ranked teams, these better teams will do a little bit of limit testing, do a little bit of pushing the limits, trying to see what they can get away with, without showing sort of against lower tier teams like LNG, like in the LCK, when their new promoted teams come up here, we'll see what they can do. So I think you got it there.
I'm hyped on it. I know that, again, you talked about this when we made our first video, but we got 2 games every single night. So That's one thing that I just want to touch on real quick. Like, if you don't love a slate, like not you, but the proverbial you who's ever watching this video, don't play it heavy. And I talk about that a lot during, when real sports are going on. And I really try to hold myself accountable, especially during baseball when it's my favorite sport and my best sport. But that's really how to keep yourself in the game. Like, it's easy to just play every single night, and the closer it gets to lock, it's easier to like the slate. I don't love this slate. I'm going to play tonight. I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't. But it's not going to be a night where I max enter and I'm really pissed that I lose a ton of my bankroll if I'm not successful. I'll put it like that.
That's smart. That's smart. I think that's probably similar to where I'm going to go, because I think it is pretty close. It's 2-1. It's 2-1. Throw a BLG lineup in there, let that one fly, do whatever it's going to do, and then try and get creative with some WE and VG stacks. Maybe go with some mid laners captain. That's not always the optimal build, because they only average 70-ish kill percentage and 30-ish kill share, as opposed to the 75 you're getting out of these ADCs and 35 you're getting out of these ADCs. But we've seen before in the past where Forge is really a feast or famine kind of guy. He's got the highest death percentage out of any of these mids. So maybe tonight's the night he goes crazy. Maybe tonight's the night Fofo goes crazy because he's mad about some other stuff that we don't know about. So we'll just play around with it tonight, I think, on my end anyway, too.
Yeah, same. Making this video, while it was really fun, I'm not sure I see things that much more clear because it's just hard to predict this slate. I was shocked, just to touch on your ADC point. Man, I couldn't believe that XLB, the jungler for RNG, ended up being the winning captain last night, and in all the top 5 lines. It was that second game just went off. I mean, both games were really good, but
it was insane on that Lee Sin pick.
It was crazy because the ADC for V5, Sam D, was awesome. He was the best player on V5. He was really good. And then Betty was really good in the first game for RNG, but he did not do anything in the second one.
Yep. We talked about that the first video too. We were talking about maybe if you were going to build a chalkier demo lineup with RNG, that you maybe did want to put a jungler into the captain spot instead of something more optimal like a mid or a ADC. And that doesn't always work, especially on 3-game slates. It tends to balance out a little more, or 2-game slates with the best of 3s. I mean, but it does tend to balance out more. But hey, it can work. It can work.
I also don't think that. I usually, in most of my lines, the team that I have 4 of, that's who's in my captain spot. But my top lineup last night was not the case. I had 4 V5 and RNG was in my captain. And I've seen that happen a couple times. And I don't think that that's crazy. Now, it adds a lot more possible lineup constructions if you're building. So it's hard to do all those. But if you're max entering in one of those guys, then you should mess around with those. I don't know. Because for me, it's all about when I love a slate and there's 2 games like this, it'll be because I love a team in both games, and I'll pair them every way possible. If I like a slate a lot, it was like last night where I really liked V5, and I didn't really know, but I leaned RNG. A slate like tonight, man, I got no idea because I could see any combo taking it down.
Right. Especially with the sub risk that we've got going on. Again, where somebody could come out and be, best 16 could come out and he could really drill them the first game, get something like his Olaf that he really excels on, get going early. They get that Yumi backpacks with the Olaf. All of a sudden, he's everywhere. You could see him go nuts game 1 and get sub game 2, game 3. Who knows? So
is it best 16 or is that what we're going for now?
I don't know. I think I'm just good with the beast call. That works. Well, listen, we'll hear tonight, 5 a.m.
That's true. I can't even believe that. I didn't even put that as a B together. I was just looking at it as 1-3.
Yeah, it's L3 EST 1-6. So it's probably Beast 6 would be the probably the correct answer there.
Yes, you're right.
1 is probably the T, and then the 6 is just a 6 because numbers are a thing in the LPL.
You are smarter than me. Numbers are a thing in all esports, I think. Just without CGO or CSGO, it's also a thing there. All right, man. That's all I got. You got anything more to add?
No, I'm good. Look forward to chatting with you again, and always a pleasure, my friend. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I know a few people have messaged me asking me if we're going to make a video today, so I know they're hyped and I'm hyped. So appreciate you, and let's do it again soon.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you.